Welcome back to another edition of the Worst Case Scenario podcast. I'm your host, Bill. My other two hosts, D'Lo, say what up.
What up?
And we got Bennett. Say what up, Bennett.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Oh, Bennett's
It's
walking
still morning.
around. Bennett's got a corn cob pipe, and he's believing the hype. Dear Lord, ladies and gentlemen, we are here to do the NFL weekly picks. We understand that I was sick this week. D'Lo had gambling things he had to do and everything else. But we are back to do week 14 review, week 15 preview. But before we do, we got to pull out names for our O'Reilly Christmas extravaganza, which will be held on the 28th of this month. And we will be drawing out names. So that's what we're going to do. So you guys are just going to have to bear with us because Bennett wanted the live reaction. So in this, I got to write these down. So the first one will be who Brock is buying for. That's the first name on the list. And who's Brock going to be buying for?
Come on, man. What'd you do? Get your hand stuck in there or something?
No. Brock is buying for Wild Bill. Do you see this?
Wild Bill? Right on.
Yes.
Damn it. Brock always gets good gifts. I wanted Brock.
Brock is a good gift giver because he just throws money at it. He learned that from Bennett. All right. Next,
Phil's internet just conveniently seems to be cutting out during these times. He's gonna be getting Bennett as his dude. I guarantee it. Watch.
No, this is who I'm buying for. This is who I am buying for right now. We have a name right here. Wouldn't you know it? I am buying for myself. I'm going to have to close that back up and put it back in there.
He's got like 12 of his own name in there for when it comes up with Bennett's name.
That is not true. All right. The person I am buying for is Bennett. And
How did I know this? This is collusion, dude.
I'm buying for Bennett. And I remember what
If I get stuck, dude. If I get stuck with Biggs, I swear to fucking God, dude.
But you got now, D'Lo, understand. This is who I am buying for. This is not who's buying.
No,
for me.
I do understand, and I understand that this has worked out to where you guys are going to end up buying for each other. Watch, you son of a bitch.
No, okay. So Bennett is out of the thing now. Next up will be D'Lo. Who D'Lo is buying for? Got the shoe.
I'm pulling for myself here.
Get Brock.
All right here. He drew Biggs.
You gotta go
I'm
get
getting
that
him
6L. You gotta go get that
I'm getting him
6XL t-shirt.
I'm getting him a McDonald's gift card.
Okay, this is
By the time he gets it, the McRib will be out of service.
Yeah, that's even better.
Okay,
They can save it till next year.
This is who Bennett is buying for. Here we go. Rappling up the shoe. Here we go.
The shoe was a terrible idea.
Why?
The shoe
Bill
was
just
a terrible idea.
Bill just didn't want to pull his hat off and show his hot dog head on the fucking podcast.
There you go. Bennett
Who
is
is
buying
this?
for D'Lo. Bennett is buying for D'Lo.
There you go, D'Lo.
Yeah. I'm gonna need an iPhone and a PlayStation 5.
All right.
Yeah. Brooke said she needs a new car or at least a new set of tires.
This is who Bill's buying for.
It's got to be Brock, right? Oh, no, it could be you, I guess.
Bill is buying for Brock.
That means you got Biggie. Yeah, Biggie's buying for you, Phil.
Bill is buying Brock. And yes, as it's left, Biggs will be buying for me.
Hey, Phil,
What?
enjoy your towel.
Phil,
Enjoy your towel
you
that
got
Biggie picked up from the hotel.
you got the guy that leaves the Christmas party early so he doesn't have to chip in on the bill for the food and drinks that we all get, man.
It looks like, it looks like I'm probably he's gonna try to offer me Wendell for a night.
Better luck next year, Phil.
Yeah. All right. We had to do that, ladies and gentlemen. We're sorry. It forces the other people to watch the podcast now to see who they're buying for, because we all know who we got. So, all right.
Yeah, make sure you tell them. Make sure you tell them if they want to know, they need to watch the show.
I don't know if Bill knows how to even go on YouTube, to be honest with you.
Send him the link through a text.
I very well could. Yes.
I'm sure his kids can show him.
Yes. All right, let's get right in to a little football action. You guys ready?
Yeah, let's get it.
Yeah,
All
we're
right.
ready.
We're going with last Thursday, not this past Thursday, but the week ago this past Thursday. And we had the Lions picking up a 34-21 win over the Packers. The Packers dropped down to 9-4. The Lions moved to 12-1. And what I took away from this game was Bennett finally saying the Lions are that good.
Yeah.
Bennett, tell us what you thought about this game.
Well, I believe I already apologized for this, but I'll go ahead and do it again. I've been picking the Packers all year, saying they're the real deal, saying the Lions are fraudulent. But, I mean, this was proven wrong this time. I was proven wrong this time after this game. The Lions look good. It was a competitive game. It was an interesting game to watch. But at the end of the day, the Lions are just a better team. Not much else to be said on my part.
Dylan, what do you think about this game?
Man, I tell you what, like Bennett said, the Lions proved they're a good team. The Packers, they're a very competitive team, man. Jordan Love was kind of killing them with a lot of interceptions here recently. I think he's starting to get that under control, but the Packers are competitive, man. That's for sure. I just think right now, out of the North, this is the Lions' time, man. They're gonna have their opportunity to see if they're legit when they get into the playoffs and if they can hang with these these teams like the Eagles and shit like that, man. So we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out in the playoffs, man. I mean, the Lions, this is such a new thing for them to be a winning team. It's like, have they fully bought into that culture yet? We'll see, but it's going to make for some interesting playoffs, man. You're going to see some new teams in there, and I always enjoy that shit, man. So hopefully somebody knocks the Chiefs out fairly quick, and we ain't got to worry about them fucking coming in and three-peating.
Well, with that win, the Lions officially clinched a playoff berth, as we all knew they were going to. They got tied for the best record in the NFL. Goff did have 3 touchdowns, man. He did his part. The Packers were held in it by 3 touchdowns from Jacobs. But the Lions are who we thought they were. They're the best team in the NFL, in my opinion. And I know Delo's agreed with that, but I think Bennett finally agrees with it, man. All right. We'll move on to the next game of the week. We had the Jaguars picking up a 10-6 win over the Titans. The Titans dropped to 3-10. The Jaguars moved to 3-10. Matt Jones in his second game coming in and playing 220 yards, but he had 2 interceptions. D'Lo, what'd you think about this game?
Both teams are, they're shitty right now, man. I was a little more disappointed in the Titans for losing this game, but both teams are shit. It's just one of those deals. I fully expect for the Jaguars to change coaches and shit at the end of the season. it wouldn't surprise me to see the Titans do the same thing, but we'll see. I mean, the Titans their guy, they just changed coaches this last offseason, so you usually don't give a guy just 1 year to do anything. Hopefully the Titans bring in a new quarterback and put some talent around him and maybe see what this coach has. But right now they're not in great shape. And but we got a buddy named Block, and he's a Jaguars fan, and he was pissed off about this win because he said, "Man, we just gave up the number 1 overall pick." So I don't know. I don't think it's it definitely. They're still in the running for it. So are the Titans and a few other teams. But, they shouldn't, with these wins, these meaningless wins, it starts to take you out of the contention for that top pick. So
we lost Bennett, but he's back. Bennett, what'd you think about this Jaguars win over the Titans?
Well, it's 2 bad teams, so get what you get. For the Jaguars to get that win, as D'Lo was just talking about, takes you out of contention for the number 1 pick. But at the same time, I mean, this is professional sports. Nobody in professional sports, I don't care the theory or the idea or the plan that you have going in for the future, you shouldn't be tanking games. That's not professional. So whether whoever likes it or not, I mean, like I said, 2 bad teams.
I agree with that. We want to, you want to see those guys go out there and earn their money every week and things like that. It just, when the games are meaningless as a fan, you're like, you start to weigh that. Should we be trying to get that number 1 pick, or should you, what I mean? It just, I don't know. It's just one of those deals. You're like, man, you hate to have a completely meaningless season and end up a middle of the road pick that's not going to be that much of an impact. You know what I mean?
Here's what I'll tell you. No player in the NFL ever says, hey, if we lose this game, we get the first round draft pick. Every player wants to win every game. And as a fan, I would never root for my team to lose. But, you know what I'm saying? I do get that point to where it's like you sucked all season long. And then towards the end, you want to start winning games. It's like, what the hell? But you never want to see your team lose. So, all right, let's move on. We had my New York Jets dropping a game that they were winning, and they dropped it in overtime, 32-26 to the Dolphins. The Dolphins moved to 6-7 on the season. The Jets sit at 3-10 now on the season, and once again, Rodgers didn't look bad. He threw for 339 yards. He had a touchdown, but we were without Breece Hall in this game. And yet we had our running backs show up, but Tyreek Hill had 10 receptions, 115 yards and 1 touchdown. And it was only his second 100-yard game. He had not had one since the first game of the season. D'Lo, what'd you think about this game?
The Jets, they come out and they, like you said, Rodgers had over 300 yards, things like that. They show possibilities of what they can do, but they just can't. They can't finish it off, man. And I don't know if that's a credit to the coaching that's going on right now. I don't know if that's a credit to Rodgers. I don't know what's going on there, man. It's just the Jets are one of those teams that kind of baffle me because they got a lot of talent on that team and they just can't put it together. It's just like I don't know. They can't do it. And then you got former players coming out and basically saying that Rodgers is a fraud, this and that. You got
first of all, that's not needed in this. We're asking you about this game.
You got other former players coming out trying to beat up Brett Favre about a sack that happened 20-some years ago. The organization is a mess all the way through and through, man. Anything associated with the Jets right now is a goddamn mess.
Bennett, you know what I saw at the end of this game? You know what I said to myself? I said, Christ on a cracker. That's all I could say. Christ on a cracker. What did you think about this game, Bennett?
How'd they end up losing? It was a tight game, right?
Yeah, they were up.
They lose in overtime.
Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
damn it!
What is that? Jonas Smith, the tight end, ends up having
Yeah.
his probably best game since he's been in Miami. He scored the winning touchdown in overtime, but he also scored the touchdown to tie it up in the fourth quarter. So late in the fourth quarter. But what's your opinions on this?
I mean, I think the Dolphins would at least be in the playoff hunt if they would have had. If they'd have had, Tua. They'd had Tua all year, but they didn't. So Dolphins really ain't that bad of a built team. As the Jets, Jets, like Dilo said, they got all the talent in the world. They just can't seem to put it together. It's just a
Coaching.
dysfunctional.
We don't have a head coach. We don't have a
team
GM there. I mean, what do you?
Yeah.
You know,
the whole organization is dysfunctional. I know exactly what that feels like and what it looks like. Telltale signs because on the other side, the Bears are dysfunctional. So I deal with it every week too. So Jets fucking suck, man.
It's one of those things where they, of course the fall's got to blame on the head, or they got to pin this shit on the head coach. And Saleh and Eberflus both took the fall on the deal, but I mean, the team doesn't look any better without him. Actually, they kind of look worse. So
yep.
All right, we'll move on.
And I'm not even gonna get into Rodgers. It's too late in the season. That shit's already been done, said, and dealt with. It's everybody sees the writing on the wall.
You're damn right.
I'm not gonna waste my breath with Rodgers.
Next up, we had the Minnesota Vikings picking up a 42-21 win over the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons drop down to 6-7. The Vikings move up to 11-2. I mean, and Darnold delivering probably his best performance this year and the best that a Vikings has seen since 2004 when he threw for 5 touchdowns, throwing for 347 yards in the victory. D'Lo, what'd you think about Darnold's performance in Minnesota picking up their 11th win of the season?
I'll tell you what, man. Right now, I see the Vikings as the opposite of what we just said with the Jets and the Bears, which their coaching is great. Their coaching, their schemes, they have schemes to fit their players. They play into the player's strength and play around the player's weaknesses. Darnold has looked like a Pro Bowl caliber player there, and he's had his lows, but he's stayed pretty steady this year, man. And that's a credit to that coaching staff. So,
Bennett, what do you think about this?
Vikings are real deal, I think. And even though the Lions might be better, I don't think the Vikings would be much worse. They got to play again, so we'll see. I heard some talk earlier in the week. A lot of people interested in this game because the Vikings are in one game behind. If they would win, that would put them for tie for the division. And I think it would go down to division record or then conference record, maybe. I'm not sure one of those, but they would have the same record. So then they'd have to go to a tiebreaker. They'd each beat each other once. So then you go into your division or your conference record, I think, first. So that'd be interesting.
And then
don't count the Vikings out against the Lions. I know Sam Darnold has his faults here and there, but the Vikings are a talented team. If Darnold can pull off a performance like this, so there's a shot for them to still get in.
But seriously, what do we take away from Sam Darnold this year? Like, is it fool's gold? Is this like
it wouldn't work nowhere else? I don't think.
Do you think though this is something that we've talked about? I've talked about it with Chad, a huge Vikings fan. Is he setting himself up? Has he set himself up for a huge contract in the offseason? And will it be with Minnesota?
I think they're set on McCarty, so I don't think it'd be with Minnesota. I don't think it'd be a huge contract. I do think he'll go somewhere else with a substantial contract. possibly as a bridge quarterback, or maybe even to be a starter, like a long-term starter. I mean, he's still young. He's only been in the league, 5-6 years?
He's been in there since what, 2017, 2018, I believe.
6
Yeah,
years,
so I was
7
thinking about
years.
8 or 9 years. Yeah.
I'm pulling up his stats on the season because, I mean, he does. This is Sam Darnold on the season has thrown for 3,299 yards. It's sixth in the NFL. He's thrown 28
Okay.
touchdowns. That is tied for third in the NFL. He's only thrown 10 interceptions. That's tied for 84th. So, I mean,
Who's those? Hey, who's those stats remind you of last year? Kirk Cousins.
yeah, Kirk Cousins.
Well, come on, Cousins has done it more consistently than Darnold, though, man.
Well,
Like,
Darnold ain't been with the Vikings but this year, but I'm just saying, don't those
No,
stats look
I
kind of
agree.
similar to Kirk Cousins?
yeah, no, absolutely. I see what you're saying. I could see Darnold going to a place like the Browns to compete with Deshaun Watson, and they give him like 2 years, 45, 2 years, 50 million, something like that. So
This is his seventh season in the NFL. So I mean,
yeah. Well, the crazy thing is, the reason I said the coaching, man, is because Darnold played in San Francisco with what people talk about with Shanahan, who is supposed to be an offensive guru, and his stats didn't look this good. And he came to Minnesota and he's looked good. And like Bennett said, look how Cousins did, and now look how he's doing down in Atlanta. And also they lost Danielle Hunter and all that shit. And you know what their defensive coordinator decided to do? Turn up their blitz packages, even without some of these pass rushers, man. They're like, they've got to be in the top 3 blitzing teams in the NFL, man. So
A couple weeks ago, I know they were number 1. I don't know where they're at now.
I will tell you though,
yeah.
this year he has thrown for the most yards already. He's got games to play still. He's already thrown for the most yards he ever has in a season. This is by far the most touchdowns he's thrown in the season. In an actual season of him starting, he's thrown. This is the fewest amount of interceptions he's thrown. Now he could pass that up, but I mean his rating is 108.1. That's his best ever. Now, what is weird about this is he's taken on more sacks. He's been sacked 40 times this year. The most he had ever been sacked was back-to-back years when he was with the Jets his last year in Carolina. He was sacked 35 times. But he also didn't play every game. Like, so far, he's tied his most games he's ever played. 13. That's the most he ever played with the Jets.
Well, he's got more sacks, but he's got less interceptions. So maybe he's holding on to the ball and taking a sack instead of forcing it. Stop, take the sack, and throw a pick.
Yeah. No, it's something that I wanted to talk about because Chad believes that he's played himself into a nice contract, but it won't be with Minnesota, is what
I agree.
So
I agree. I mean, dude, when you take a quarterback in the first round, and they've had the luxury, even though McCarthy's been hurt this year, they've had the luxury of letting him sit back and learn. I can't see them bringing Darnold back on another deal.
I just can't. But after everything he's doing for him, and if he makes a nice run in the playoffs, how do you not bring this guy back?
It's just the way it goes, man. They knew what they were doing. They knew what they were doing when they brought him in on a 1-year deal and drafted a guy in the first round. That was the whole crazy thing about what happened in Atlanta, because they signed Kirk Cousins to a multi-year deal and then drafted a dude in the first round. You know what I mean?
I agree.
So,
go ahead, Bennett. What was you saying, Bennett?
You see this every year, though. Every single year. I'm talking about. You can go back 10 years ago. What was the guy's name? He played in Green Bay. Rodgers got hurt. He ended
up going to Seattle, right?
Yeah, I can't think of his name. But it was kind of like he was the first one that started out.
Was it Huntley?
No, it wasn't Huntley.
This dude got a big deal, man. He got a
big
deal.
10 years ago.
Yeah, I remember.
This is before they had Russell Wilson, I believe.
Was it Matt Castle?
No,
No,
Matt
that was
Castle
the dude
did
out
the same thing from New England when he went to the
New
Chiefs.
England. Yeah, yeah.
But then Jimmy G did it again with New England and then went to the 49ers.
San
But you see
Francisco.
it, yeah, you see it happen every year. Somebody comes along, they don't play good originally, not necessarily for their team, they're a backup, whatever it is, something. Anyway, they have a standout season, and then they go get a contract to a different team the next year.
We're talking. This guy could end up being the MVP of the league.
You're getting kind of out there on that.
But I mean, his stats are
Yeah, dude. But dude, Lamar Jackson's only got 3 interceptions on the year, man. Like,
Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Saquon Barkley, these guys are all over him right now.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I mean, I understand what you're saying. Like, he's in the upper echelon right now of guys in the league this year, but I think what he's definitely done, like Chad said, I think he's worked himself into a very lucrative contract next year, and somebody's probably going to regret giving it to him. Honestly, like Bennett said, these guys do it every year, and maybe not every year, but at least every couple of years, somebody does this shit, and 9 times out of 10, it doesn't work out the way they anticipated it was going to work out. You know what I mean? So.
Well, let's not forget.
I mean, look at the Jets and Rodgers. You know what I mean? So.
Well, don't forget he's doing this with elite talent. He's got a running back up there. He's got a tight end. He's got 2 wide receivers that are, most guys. He would have dreamed like this was a dream if he could have had these guys in New York when he was leading the charge there. So,
and I could see somebody like a Raiders. If they couldn't get their hands on like a Shedeur Sanders or something, I could see the Raiders trying to give him a pretty big deal, and it ended up backfiring on him, because they don't put the talent around him like he's got up there in Minnesota. So
I agree. All right, we'll move on to the next game. We had the Saints picking up a 14-11 win over the Giants. The Giants are at 2-11 now on the season. The Saints move up to 5-8. Drew Lock, I think this was getting his second start. He threw for 227 yards and an interception. He also led the Giants in rushing with 59 rushing yards. Bennett, what did you think about the Saints win over the G-Men?
I mean, the Saints are not good. They're an average team, I guess. They're missing a lot of pieces. I think they play better when they play average teams or bad teams, which is kind of what you've seen here, even though they didn't play great in this game. And the Giants are just trash. It's utter garbage up there. It's another franchise that just can't get it right. And I don't think Daboll is a bad coach, but you don't have the players around. You're losing the quality players that you do have. The way you're building your team is not great. I like Neighbors that they drafted this year. I really like him. But, I mean, if you ain't got somebody giving him the ball, throwing him the ball, he's going to go as a wasted talent too. So, I don't know. When you're a team like this, whereas in like the Jets, the Bears have talent, so their coaching is what's lacking. But when you're a team like this is really hard to climb out of. So your next couple drafts, free agencies, all this stuff, coaching hires, GM hires, you're going to have to start getting some of those things right. Probably start with the GM and the coach. But again, like I said, I think Daboll's a decent coach. But you're going to have to rebuild this team basically with Malik Neighbors and a few other points, maybe over on defense. But you don't have a strong foundation.
Dylan, what do you think about the Saints win over the Giants?
Yeah, I 100% agree with everything Bennett said. The thing about it is judging by what we've seen up to this point, I'm not sure, the GM that's there in the Giants and the coach, Daboll, that's there for the Giants, they both may be decent at their jobs, but I don't think they're equipped to take on what they're taking on. Daboll hasn't proven to be a guy that can develop guys. Like he made Josh Allen play good when Josh Allen when he had Josh Allen. But at the same time, Josh Allen's a good quarterback. I don't know that he can. I don't know that he can take a guy that's just. How would Dayball be good with Sam Darnold? I don't know that, man. That's the whole thing. And so I don't know if
Well, he
he's
wasn't
good
good
at
with
developing.
Daniel Jones.
Well, I know that's what I'm saying, man. Like his track record for developing talent hasn't been great up to this point. So and the great head coaches can develop talent. So it's just one of those things, man. Maybe this is just too big of a job for Dayball, and maybe he needs to take a coordinator position somewhere after this season, get a couple seasons back in the saddle of doing that, and then maybe he'll work his way back up to a second chance at a head coaching gig. But I don't think things are going to work out for him there in New York, and I think they got a long road ahead of them. There's a lot of pieces missing on that team. And as far as the Saints go, they're another team that you're just like, what the fuck are they going to do, man? Because they got Carr, and they play decent when he's on the field, but Alvin Kamara he's getting old. They got rid of that Michael Thomas dude who was plaguing him with his injuries for several years running and shit. But it just, I don't know, man. They just early in the season they came out just burning people down, dude. Putting up 40 points on people steadily and shit, dude. And then all of a sudden they just they fell off the cliff and things went south for them, and they really haven't been able to recover since then. So I don't really know what to take on the Saints. They're a middle of the pack kind of team, man.
All right. Moving on. We'll move on to the big game that I dubbed the $3.1 million game, where a bettor had taken the Eagles to win in this game. And that guy came
almost
so close.
lost.
To losing it. But the Eagles do pick up a 22-16 win over Carolina. Carolina dropped the ball towards the end of the game. That would have given them a touchdown. The extra point would have won it for them. Carolina drops to 3-10 on the season. The Eagles move to 11-2, tied for second best in the NFC. Young, we've talked about his progression and how better he got. Not that he was horrible in this game, but he only threw for 191 yards and one touchdown. But Barkley coming in, carrying the ball 20 times for 124 yards. But Thielen over the last few weeks has really came on strong. He had 9 receptions for 102 yards. Bennett, what did you think about this game?
I mean, the Panthers played them tough. Eagles made some self-inflicting mistakes, some self-inflicting wounds. But, man, it's really hard to go against that Eagles team, and it has been for a while now. And they've had multiple coaches up there, and they fire them after they win the Super Bowl, go to the playoffs, or don't make the playoffs after the Super Bowl, what's known as the Super Bowl hangover. But they've had multiple coaches that's getting the job done, and I think that goes off of something that we keep reiterating. The roster is built strong, and the franchise is built to win. So as long as you got a competent coach come in, he can get the job done with the cast of players that he has, man. I mean, these guys are talented up and down the board, offense, defense, secondary linebackers, defensive line, offensive line. They got talent everywhere. So, I mean, it's hard to beat them when you're a Carolina Panthers team that has not built your roster. If anything, you've trashed it over the last few years. It is nice after the tough season that Young had last year to see him doing good. Nobody wishes that on a player besides Aaron Rodgers or Brett Favre. But
hey, where did Thielen? Has Thielen always been in Carolina?
No, he was in Minnesota.
No, he was in Minnesota.
I thought so.
Yeah, he was solid in Minnesota until they drafted Jefferson, and they were like, he's expendable. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I was like sitting there looking at him, and I was like, where the hell did he come from? But he got hurt, whatever. He was missing time, but like I said, I picked him up in fantasy a couple weeks back, and man, he's been super strong for me over the last 2-3 weeks. So
yeah.
But Dylan, what did you think about this game?
Like Bennett said, good to see Young kind of rebounding. You wondered if that benching was going to psychologically hurt him, and he seems to have shaken it off, and he's come out and he's leading this team down the field. I know they're not winning, but sometimes, man, it's like Bennett said, the Eagles. The Eagles have drafted well. They've put talented players on the field. They've went out and got guys in free agency and trades, like AJ Brown, things like that. They're putting good players on the field, and that's kind of the opposite of what the Carolina Panthers have done. And so, I mean, it does say something about the players to keep it competitive and things. But I mean, these games honestly are games that they should probably be getting their asses handed to them every time. I honestly, coming into the season, I didn't know if the Panthers were going to even win a game this season because, but I did say that when they took out Bryce Young and they put in Andy Dalton, I said, well, they got a better chance of winning now that Bryce Young's out of the game. But like I said, I'm glad to see the kids bouncing back a little bit, showing that he's got some skill. But we'll see. We'll see if it's sustainable, and we'll see if they can do anything in the draft and free agency this offseason and maybe put some talent around him.
Chuba Hubbard's a good player too, man. You don't get enough credit. He's a good player up there.
Well, he's played great over the last few weeks too. Yeah, he has. So, all right, we'll move on to the next one, man. We had the Pittsburgh Steelers picking up a 27-14 win over the Cleveland Browns. The Browns dropped to 3-10. The Steelers moved to 10-3 on the season. Jameis Winston, not his best game. He only threw for 212 yards, 2 touchdowns. He threw the ball, though, 41 times. And anytime we say that, when you get up into those numbers, it's never good for your quarterback to be throwing it 41 times in a game. Judy continued looking good. He only had 5 catches, 64 yards, and a touchdown. But like they were in the game. The score doesn't justify how the Browns were clearly in this game, you know what I'm saying, as well as they were. But, D'Lo, what do you think about the Steelers and their win over the Browns?
Yeah, I expected the Steelers to win this game, but I expect the Browns to be competitive. Jameis Winston's one of those guys. He'll come out and throw 5 interceptions and he'll throw 5 interceptions and 5 fucking touchdowns. You know what I mean? Like, what was it that one year that I think he was with the Bucks? He threw 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions and 30 touchdowns, man.
Never heard of before that somebody would throw 30 touchdowns in a season and 30 interceptions, but that was Jameis Winston with the Bucks. I mean,
that just tells you what kind of player he is. He don't give a fuck. He will put that ball up in the air.
He's what I like calling a gunslinger.
I think he's a little more than a gunslinger. When you throw 30 interceptions, I see my guy down the field, and I don't give a fuck if he's in triple coverage. I'm throwing that ball, dude.
He's an habitual gunslinger.
Yeah. So, but
you have more to add on this, Neil? Go ahead.
No, just the Browns. They're a team that can be competitive. I don't know what's going to happen to him next year. I foresee Jameis Winston going somewhere else and backing up somebody elsewhere, and the Browns bringing somebody in to be competitive with Deshaun Watson, who they're pretty much stuck with. So I mean, will the Browns be the same old Browns again next year? Probably.
Bennett, what do you think about this Steelers win over the Browns?
The Steelers, man. I mean, can't count them out. Kind of had doubts about them going into the year, especially with questions at quarterback. It seems like they got that right.
I
don't know if you guys seen it, but they brought Justin Fields in to ice the game on the last 2 plays with
I've seen that. Yeah.
One was a read option he handed off, and the other one was a read option that he kept. Got the first down on 3rd down, and that iced the game. So it's nice for them to have that option. I think they'll continue forward using stuff like that. The Browns, Jameis Winston, I think as long as he wants to be in the league, he'll have a job somewhere, regardless of his mistakes. But I mean, he is a talented quarterback. He just He makes mind-blowing interceptions sometimes, but
I agree.
But I just seen it popped up on my news feed actually today that Brown's going forward, plan to stay with Stefanski, um, the quarterback, Sean Watson, and the general manager. So that's mind blowing to me. They don't want to make some kind of.
Well, I think the
I mean,
biggest,
they better get some kind of insurance plan if they're not going to keep Jameis on the roster. Like you said, you better get some competition. You better get some kind of insurance plan because
I don't think
they.
can you keep Justin Winston? Can you keep Winston? And can they coincide? Because people are going to be calling for him the minute that Deshaun Watson starts making bad plays or has more masseuses coming out saying that he was playing.
I think you keep him. I think what I'm just saying right now, you need some kind of insurance plan. I think Jameis Winston gives you that.
Yeah.
So you either let
Yeah, well,
Jameis
but the
Winston
problem
go,
is,
but you
the
still got to
problem
go
is,
out and
I
get
think
Sam Darnold or somebody else.
that's the thing. I'm thinking that they go more after like a Sam Darnold route because I'm thinking that they're looking at Jameis Winston like, yeah, the dude can come in, he's capable, but we're not winning under him, and we have a team that we think can
Well, I
be
mean, who they just
competitive.
beat a couple weeks ago? They shocked somebody. Was
Yeah,
it
they
the
did.
Steelers?
The
Was it the
Ravens.
Did they
Steelers?
beat
Yeah,
the Steelers like 3 weeks ago?
I think they did.
Oh, I
Yeah,
thought it was the Ravens.
it
Ravens,
was.
there
You're
we go.
right.
Yeah. That was
So,
just a week before.
But should they cut ties with Deshaun?
They can't, man. They can't swallow all that money and not at least try to put him on the field and see if he can play any ball, man. Like they still owe him quite a bit of money, man. So
I thought
I
it
don't
I
know.
think
was
Dale's right. I don't think you can. I don't think you're even going to be able to even get rid of him because you're still swallowing all that money. Right? He's going to sit on the roster whether he's a backup or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think it's all guaranteed anyway. So it's like, do you just keep him just for that fact, or?
I mean, you can do what the Giants did and put him in at practice squad, strong safety, and make him quit. But maybe that negates his contract.
Well, he's got what? He's got 2 years left on his deal after this year. But I really want to
write it out and start planning for the future.
Well, they're not going to cut him because if they cut him, dead money, it would be
150 million.
Yeah, it's insane what it would be. We're talking, oh my God, it would be 99,799,000.
That's for the
So
2 years, but you didn't count this coming year, right? Or
that would be for
because he got
year.
paid like. Oh, that's for next year and the following year. Okay.
Like this year, he made 27 million. That was his cap number. Next year, 72 million is his cap number, and the year after, 72 million.
God damn, dude, $72 million.
Hey, and while he's sitting back on his couch talking about, I'm the most worthless $27 million person in the world this year.
He ain't saying that shit. He like, I'm thinking about building a massage parlor outside my house.
If they cut him before next year, they would leave 172 million in dead money.
Damn,
So they're not going to. He's there. If he's there, they're going to play him and they're going to start him. Unfortunately, and that's probably the issue that they have in Cleveland, and they've always had that issue in Cleveland, and that's why the Cleveland Browns are the Cleveland Browns. In all honesty. All right, hey, we'll move on to the next game, man. We had the Buccaneers picking up a 28-13 win over the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders moved to 2-11 on the season. The Bucs move up to 7-6. Baker Mayfield come back after the game that he had last week, throws 3 touchdowns, 295 yards. Bennett, what'd you think about the Buccaneers and their win over the Raiders?
The Raiders, they're another one of those franchises. I kind of put them on the same part as the Saints. Maybe a little bit worse, but they're a below average team. They got some pieces. They're trying to fill their way out, try to find their identity. Probably need to add some more stuff. Probably need to be real smart what they do in the next couple of years in the draft. Brock Bowers looks like a straight up home run hit for this year.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does.
But they got some pieces in place, but they just need to be real careful where they go the next couple of years with draft picks and free agency, how they're spending money. On the other hand, the Bucks. I mean, aren't the Bucks still in the running? Like that division's soft as shit down there.
Yeah, they're 7-6.
Yeah, I think they're actually leading the division right now, aren't they?
I'll pull it up. You guys keep talking. I'll pull it up and let you know.
But yeah, the Bucks, man, the Bucks are on the opposite side of the Raiders. They look like a middle of the pack team, but they're on the above average level on that side. And the Bucks got some players. Some of them are aging. Some of them, Mike Evans, Vita Vea. I don't think Vita Vea. Yeah, I don't think Vita Vea is like aging, but I think he's in like the middle of his career, probably 6 or 7 years into it, maybe a little bit more.
Currently, Tampa Bay is leading that division with 7 wins, 6 losses. Atlanta is right behind them at 6-7. New Orleans is 2 games back at 5-8, and Carolina sits at 3-10. Sad part is Carolina has not been eliminated from the playoff contention because they could still win their division.
That's crazy.
A loss this week by Carolina would eliminate them from winning their division and would officially.
I tell you, the big story though in Tampa Bay is, of course, it's Baker Mayfield. Like Baker's not great, even though sometimes he plays great. He is good, but the main thing that stands out to me about Baker is he's a leader. Like when he gets fired up and he does make plays, that team rallies behind him, and that's why you can't count the Bucks out. The Bucks play tough teams. They play them well sometimes, especially if you get Baker going a little bit. You get Baker's emotions involved in the game, and next thing you know, they get some momentum. They go on a run, and like Baker's leading these guys. I mean, say what you want to about the guy. Like I'm not a big fan of his, but man, he's got that team when they're hitting.
He reminds me
they're
of
firing. They're dangerous.
Baker Mayfield reminds me of Tim Tebow, but with all the talent.
Yeah, more talent.
Like Tebow.
But he'll get his team behind him, especially if he's playing good.
No, that's something that you want. He is a locker room leader. He is a leader on the field and in the locker room. And that's, most times, though, this year we've seen Baker Mayfield exceed expectations. So, I mean, it's hard.
Well, I mean, it's obvious that they've seen that in him after last season. And so that's why they gave him the deal they did in the offseason. So,
yeah. They gave him like a 3-year, like $100 million contract. Like he got paid.
Yeah, I think it was like 3-year, 125, something like that. Yeah, he got a nice little chunk. So, I mean, they're expecting him to be the guy there, dude. So, like Bennett said, though, you got Mike Evans, who's on the tail end of his career. We don't know how. Godwin, is that his name? Godwin's going to come back after his injury. So, I mean, after this year, they're probably going to have to add some weapons to move themselves up into the upper echelon of teams. Otherwise, they're going to still continue to be one of those middle of the pack teams. To their benefit, though, they do play in a soft ass division and are eligible to win it, even if they only have 2 wins, 3 or 4 games left in the season. You know what I mean? So
I just pulled his contract up, and it was for 3 years, $100 million, with $50 million of it in guarantees. $40 million was in signing bonus. So,
yeah,
that's not bad for 3 years. I mean, and he'll be good those 3 years. He'll lead that team. Gets his receivers back. He's bound to tight end and Cotton. That dude has come out and played excellent for them this year. So, I mean, there's no doubt about that. All right, we'll move on to the next one, man. We had the Seattle Seahawks picking up a 30-18 win over the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals dropped to 6-7. The Seahawks move up to 8-5 on the season. Murray threw 2 touchdowns in this game, but yet Seahawks, man, I really thought the Seahawks were going to lose this game. I thought the Cardinals were going to come back the second time in 3 weeks. These two teams were playing each other, but the Cardinals just couldn't hold it. They couldn't bring it to the table, man. And Seattle picks up their 8th win of the season. D'Lo, what did you think about the Seahawks and their win over the Cardinals?
The Seahawks are a team that are, to me, are right on the brink, man. They could be one of those upper echelon teams. I just don't have a lot of faith in Geno Smith. I feel like he has his ups and downs, man. Like even throughout games, it's like he'll have a good half, and then the second half he'll completely shut the fuck down and things like that. And so that's always the scary thing when it comes to a good team. But I like the Seahawks. I think they're a solid team. It's just I don't know how far they can go behind Geno, and the Cardinals. I think if it wasn't for, as much as I'm not a big Kyler Murray fan, I think if it wasn't for him and Connor, they'd be knocked out of a lot more games, man. So he's led them back several times this year. So they got a leaky defense down there, I think.
That's 100% fact right there. Bennett, what'd you think about the Seahawks and their win over the Cardinals?
I mean, it's tied. It's a 2-game race. It just seems like the Seahawks have a slight edge, a little bit leg up. Maybe it's because of the defense over the Cardinals. But again, that division's pretty weak too. San Francisco hasn't came out and done what we thought they were going to do. The Rams, they play decent ball sometimes, and then they're like along with the Seahawks. You kind of got high expectations for them, and sometimes they don't always produce, and they have a talented team. But I think, so saying what you guys say, Kyler Murray's won him a couple games this year with his feet and his arm. He's deceptively fast, man. I watched a couple games of his, and he is a lot faster than some of the other people on the field. Connor is the heart of that team, and if you want to win games, you got to get that running game going. The Seahawks, I mean, you got DK Metcalf. What's the running back's name? Kenneth Walker.
Yeah,
I like him.
Yeah.
Geno Smith, I don't think's bad. I think he's turned around in Seattle. But
Now their backup running back right now is what's leading the charge for the Seahawks.
Yeah, it's
Charbonnet.
Charbonnet. Yep.
Yeah, Charbonnet. Yeah.
He had 2 touchdowns and 134 rushing yards in this game.
Well, you know what's crazy, man? And I was explaining this to JT the other day. Smith and Jigba has more receptions and yards than DK Metcalf this year. I said Metcalf's been on the field, but he's been playing quiet. He's been hampered with injuries all year, man. They said he's been playing limited all year, man. So
who's the other guy that they have there? They had DK Metcalf, and who was the other one?
They got Tyler Lockett, but he's getting old, man. He's not making the kind of noise that he once did. So,
all right, hey, we'll move on to that next game, and did we have a game here? These guys brought it to the very end, and we had the Rams picking up a 44-42 win over Buffalo, sending Buffalo to only their 3rd loss of the season. Buffalo sits at 10-3. While the Rams moved up to 7-6, and I'm telling you, the Rams have played better. Now we realize that since this game, because we were late getting these out, the Rams have already beat the 49ers in the Thursday night game this week, putting the Rams just a half a game behind Seattle right now, based on what happens with Seattle this coming week. The Rams have really brought it up once they got their receivers healthy and Stafford playing there. I mean, they have really. It really brought it up. So, I mean, but this was a hell of a game. I mean, with Allen throwing 3 touchdowns, throwing for 342 yards. Nakua, 12 catches, 162 yards and a touchdown. Even Williams rushing for 2 touchdowns and 87 yards. Bennett, what did you think about Buffalo and their loss to the Rams and the Rams winning this game?
I mean, it just proves to the fact that the Rams are a legitimate team once they have all their players on the field. And the score let me tell you guys this. I don't know what their actual rankings of their defense is, but that score, 44-42. I've watched Ram games this year with that young defense. Their defenses are not bad, neither one of them. So for the fact that each one of those offenses could put up 40-some points on the other one's defense, I mean, that's dangerous. These are both talented teams. Like I said, I think the Rams are a little bit more talented than Seattle, but their record don't reflect that so much. Like you said, they're a half game back, but they had a ton of injuries starting off the season, man. Key players, key playmakers. So now they're getting their players back. I mean, just goes to show you, if they can beat Buffalo, they can beat anybody. Buffalo is on par with anybody else in the league, whether it be Detroit, Philadelphia, the Chiefs, Minnesota. So if the Rams can beat Buffalo, that tells you that the Rams could be on par any given Sunday, baby. We always say that. So,
yep. Dealer, what do you think about the Rams win over Buffalo?
It just goes to show what the Rams are when they have all their guys on the field. It's kind of awesome to see how Cooper Kupp has not raised any hell about taking a back seat to Puka Nacua, man. Like, I mean, Cooper Kupp's still getting his numbers a little bit, but not like he used to. But Puka's the guy there, man. That dude is just killing it. And, we'll see. We'll see, man. I mean, like Bennett said, it's not something that you've seen all year with them teams putting up 40 points on that Rams defense. So if the Rams do make it to the playoffs, as long as that defense doesn't allow something like that, I think they got a chance in every game, man. So
I mean, you got to think about this. You had Josh Allen throwing 3 touchdowns and throwing 342 yards. Then he turns around and he rushed for 3 and 82 yards on the ground. I mean, that's 6 touchdowns in the game.
Yeah, from your quarterback. I mean, very rarely is a team going to lose when that happens. It was definitely a bad day for the defensive coordinators on both sides, man. Just because they definitely had some questions to answer on Monday to their head coaches. Like, dude, how what did we do wrong to allow 40 plus points? And Buffalo's is even going to be worse because they're going to be like, what did we do wrong to allow 40 some points, but our quarterback scored 6 fucking touchdowns and we still lost, man. So,
well, let me tell you something. That was that had only been done one other time where a quarterback throws 3 touchdowns and rushes for 3 touchdowns in the same game, and that was in 1954 when Otto Graham did it in the NFL championship. So that's some good company to be in.
It was probably more impressive back then because they weren't throwing the ball very much back then.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and Nacua also ran the ball 5 times for 16 yards and a touchdown in this game. So, I mean, we're talking about Nacua, what he's bringing to the table, what he's doing. That was Kupp did add 92 yards on 5 catches and a touchdown.
Kupp's still getting his looks, and he's still. I think Nakua's presence is actually helping Kupp a little bit because they know that Nacua is the number 1 guy now, and so they're going to start putting the double coverages and stuff on him, and so it'll open up Kupp a little more. But I think it just shows the Kupp's character how he just seamlessly stepped aside and said, "This is Nakua's show now. Like, I'll be here when y'all need me. Just look my way sometimes and shit like that." But you ain't heard nothing out of him like you do some of these diva receivers. Like, well, if it ain't gonna be my show, then I want out of here or whatever it is. So,
yeah. Hey, did you by chance see what is his name, Shedeur Sanders tossing a football with Malik Neighbors in New York City on the streets yesterday?
Oh yeah, I seen a couple.
They're setting that up, aren't they?
Yeah, they're trying to, man. I mean, it's the thing about it is Deion already said he's like, I will step in and make sure that my son goes to the best spot, and I don't think necessarily for him the best spot is the spot that he thinks is going to win championships or whatever it is. I think the best spot is for his son to go somewhere and be the biggest star that he can be. So, um,
I think his son needs to get away from the shadow of his father.
I don't know, man. I think that his father's always going to protect him, and his father's always going to make sure that the game goes through him and shit like that. So his numbers are always going to look
Remember the
good.
last father that tried to do that? The Big Baller brand. You know, remember that guy?
Yeah, I don't think that Lamar Ball or whatever his name is. I don't think he carried the same kind of weight that Prime does. Because I mean, you really could see a team trying to hire Prime before the draft and trade up to get Shador. I mean, you never heard no teams talking about bringing in LeVar as
No.
even a consultant or something. You
He
know what I
tried.
mean?
He tried, though, didn't he? He was
Oh yeah,
trying
for
hard.
sure.
But no, they
And I
said,
mean, dude, you can't hate on him, dude. He was pushing his sons hard, man. So
I heard recently that they talked about those shoes that he was pushing his kids to wear. They may have fucked up his son's ankle, LaMelo.
yeah, I mean, possibly. But I mean, the thing about they ended up they ended up saying that those shoes ended up costing, because I guess he was running the company that his boys had founded or whatever, and that Big Baller Brand company ended up costing them boys over $3 million.
Not shocking.
It didn't do shit. Yeah. So
All right, we'll move on to the next game. And boy, I want to hear your guys' opinion on this because we had the San Francisco 49ers picking up a 38-13 win over the Bears. The Bears dropped to 4-9 on the season. The Niners moved to 6-7 on the season. I want to hear from you, Bennett. What happened with your Bears in this game?
Well, I'll tell you, the score don't even tell you the story of the game. The Bears literally did nothing in the first half. And this is multiple times this year that this has happened. This is a different coach, head coach, different offensive coordinator, now different defensive coordinator. And this was not even a close game. And it's not like the Niners were even on. George Kittle lit them up, that's for sure. They had no answer for him. But the game was not even close, not for 1 second of any time during the game. It was, it's not like I'm shocked because I've seen games like this all year. But, even if there was the coaching change and everything, I figured that the players would not come out and just lay an egg like this.
Yeah.
Like I don't even know where to go anymore. At this point in time, like I've said earlier in the show, you're a professional team. You're all professionals. Your athletes get paid for it. But at this point in time, it's like, man, boys, if you're going to play like this, I mean, pack up the fucking tents. Year's over.
Yeah.
You got to show up because you're professional. You got to get off the bus. But at the same time, you're only showing up physically. Mentally, it didn't look like they showed up at all.
Yeah. They showed in the score. D'Lo, what do you think about your Bears and their performance against the 49ers?
yeah, I mean, like Bennett said, first half we did absolutely nothing, man. I mean, I can't remember what the stat was. It was like the Niners had like 265 yards to our like 15. Literally, it was trash, dude. So, but this has been the same song and dance that we followed all year long, man. We've anytime that the game plan was implemented, where you got your pre-scripted plays and all that, haven't done worth of shit. And then when you're just coming out there and going off the sleeve and just kind of letting Caleb do things and do no huddles and just kind of shrinking the playbook a little bit, it's like Caleb Williams has done his thing. But it's sad, man, because our quarterback, I guess there's reports coming out of the locker room that he came to a couple players after the game and was like, I don't even know what this feeling is. He said, I don't know what it's like to lose like this, man. He said, my high school team won, my college team won, and now here I am in the NFL and we're on a 7-game slide and I don't even know. I don't know this feeling. You know what I'm saying? And so it's just one of those things, man.
I, as a Jet fan, know that feeling all too well.
Yeah, well, it's just, but I mean, for the best quarterbacks, this is the shit that drives them. If you remember Peyton Manning's rookie year, they were trash, dude.
Yeah.
And that's how it usually goes. So for the best quarterbacks, it drives them to get better and to do better. And next year they need to come out better. Caleb's got a lot of shit that he needs to button up. He don't need to come out and act like it's everybody else's fault around him. He's done a lot of bad shit this year too. So
he's set records for the Bears rookie records. So this guy's doing this by losing these pitiful shit ass games, one-sided games. But the Bears' quarterback
Let's be honest,
records,
though, you never had.
That's what I'm trying to say. The Bears' quarterback records are so god awful. This is a 120-year-old franchise, ladies and gentlemen, or a 100-year-old franchise. And this guy, and he has put up good stats, but they're not like astronomical. But he's coming out and breaking records every game. And he also broke an NFL record, I think a week ago or 2 weeks ago, the most attempts by a rookie without an interception. He actually still currently, I believe he still is currently has the most attempts in the NFL right now without an interception. So that's some stuff that he did earlier on. So I don't know. It's a weird conundrum. D'Lo, I did see earlier in the year there was rumbles. They got a backup quarterback there by the name of Tyson Bagent. He came in for a few games last year, and he didn't look great, but man, he gave him a spark while Fields was out. They went 2-2 while he was there, and you seen something out of this kid. Like, this kid's going to have a job if he does leave the Bears. Somebody's going to sign him, not to the practice squad. Somebody's going to put him on the field as a backup. I'm not saying he's great, but there is something weird about him when he comes in the game. And his dad spoke out against Caleb Williams and the team earlier in the year, and everybody thought that was bullshit. I mean, your kid's a non-drafted guy, even though you played in the NFL. This guy's a number 1 overall pick with all these accolades. But he just spoke up recently saying, look, the season's over with. Give my kid a chance. Caleb, not saying anything bad about Caleb Williams, but you don't want to get your number 1 draft pick hurt. Give my kid a chance.
All right, you guys, let's move on to the next game, man. And we had the Sunday night game. We had the Chiefs picking up a 19-17 win over the Chargers. The Chargers dropped to 8-5, while the Chiefs moved to 12-1. Now they have the best record in the AFC and tied for the best in the NFL with Detroit. But once again, it was another close game where the Chiefs just barely edged out the Chargers for this win. And the thing is, the Chiefs have won 9 straight this way. D'Lo, what's your opinion on the Chiefs and them just doing enough to get the W?
I mean, that seems to be the Chiefs' way this year, man. They're just getting the job done, and that's why when Bennett was saying that he expects for the Detroit Lions to collapse, me and you both said we're waiting to see the Chiefs collapse, because everything that they've done, it's been so close that you're like, man, I just don't know if they can continue to sustain this or if somebody's going to figure it out. But so far they've done it. But man, I tell you what, the Chargers, they're heading in the right direction. They're a tough play for everybody, and I don't know what's going to happen with Herbert there. I still don't feel like he's fitting in the way he needs to, but they're winning, so can't really say much about it.
Bennett, your opinion on the Chiefs and they're just doing enough to get the job done?
I'm going to start off by the sound that ended the game. Dong, dong, dong. That was the sound of the football hitting off the fucking upright.
Yeah. And
that, ladies and gentlemen, is what I talked about earlier in the year. I think I more put it on the Lions, but when I was talking about the Lions, I was telling you guys, this happens every year. Some team gets in the playoffs and you literally watch them. If you go back and watch them, and you just see kind of stuff like this, the football does not bounce like a round ball. It bounces in weird ways. But you go back and watch every year, somebody wins games by this football, odd shaped as it is. The way it bounces, it looks like it just bounces right into those guys' hands, or it hits the goalpost and it bounces that way. That's what just happened. That is literally what just happened. Chargers kicked that field goal, hits the upright. Or was it the Chiefs? It was the Chiefs, right?
No, the Chargers.
It was the Chargers that hit the goalpost and it bounced out.
That would have gave them the win.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm not saying the Chiefs are not a good team. They are a good team. They're just maybe not as good as they was, but they keep winning, and maybe it's just because that ball, man. I don't know. You guys, I don't know if you guys are superstitious, but I am. And every year that football goes to picks one team out of the league, and it bounces just the right way every time. And I think that's what you got this year.
Well, let me ask
you know,
guys,
that'd be sad. That'd be so sad to see the first three-peat in NFL history go to a ball bouncer.
Yeah. Let me. I want to bring this thing up to you because I was just looking at it. In the NFC, only one team is eliminated from playoff contention as it stands right now, and that's
Good God.
Giants. That's the Giants.
Good God.
In the AFC, 6 teams, 6 are already eliminated from playoff contention. That's a difference, man. So I didn't know if you guys happen to see that or not, but
Well, there's 2 divisions in the NFC that's fucking mediocre. The West and the South.
yeah, I mean I see that when you're looking at you got, but yeah,
No, I take it back. The East is right there too. Because you got the Redskins, or you got the Eagles, you got the Redskins that stand out.
Yeah.
And then you got the Giants and the Cowboys that are dog shit.
Yeah.
But the Giants or the Cowboys still have a chance because they've won a handful of games.
That's right. I mean,
but nobody's running away with it besides the Eagles, the Lions, and the Vikings.
Well, even your Bears are still technically active for a playoff spot currently, and they're sitting at 4-9.
If the Bears make the playoffs, I'm going on record right now. I will sell my right nut.
All right.
For what? For tickets?
No, they got a thing going on in Indianapolis right now. You sell your right nut, you get like $50,000.
Nice.
What?
Maybe not your right nut. Maybe it's either one of your nuts. But
I'll give you both
$50,000.
Holy shit. I will sell both of them. You have them.
Phil, even though we know that your testicles work, nobody wants those infested things.
All right, let's move on to the last game of the week. So we get in our picks, and that was the Bengals picking up a 27-20 win over the Dallas Cowboys. It moves and drops both teams to 5-8 on the season. Burrows throws 3 touchdowns and throws for 369 yards in this game. Dallas's running back runs for 131 yards, but still was not enough. Chase, 177 yards and 2 touchdowns for the Bengals. D'Lo, what'd you think about the Bengals win over the Cowboys?
Again, it was expected. Cowboys played them a little tougher than expected, but I mean, you know, the Cowboys are running on backups and washed up fucking running backs and things like that. So they're in trouble and they need to make some changes. I don't know if they will end up making the changes they need to make, but because they're another team, man. They just guaranteed Dak all this fucking money in the offseason, and it's like, you know, I mean, what do you do, man? What do you do when it's time to move on and you still owe this motherfucker a lot of money, dude?
So the Cowboys were in this game, and they go to punt the ball in the fourth quarter, late in the fourth quarter, and it's the Bengals. I think the Bengals went to go punt. Dallas blocked it, but the Bengals recovered it and got a first down, and that helped them. They scored right after that, and that's what enabled them to pick up the 27-20 win.
Yep.
Bennett, what'd you think about the Bengals and their win?
Oh, yeah, look, you just said it. You can't trust that damn football.
Yeah.
But the Cowboys are not a good team. They do have talent there, but they're not a good team. McCarthy's definitely done after this year. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. But which I think is good. Not to say that I don't think McCarthy's a bad coach, but I think they need a fresh start. But the Bengals, I feel like, are a decent team. They have not played up to expectations until recently.
Oh, yeah. That's a
And I
good-
mean, well, here's what's baffling to me. The biggest thing that's baffling me about this game in the last couple of weeks with the Bengals, Joe Burrows came on. You know they got some talent at wide receiver. You know Jamar Chase is just an absolute fucking baller.
Yep.
And for whatever reason, in the last 3 or 4 weeks, Joe Burrow has went from dud to stud, which we all knew he was a stud, but he just didn't play good. I don't know if it's because of injuries or what, but he just went off, looked like the regular old Joe Shiesty the last couple of weeks. And Jamar Chase, I mean, if you're not doubling this guy, and even if you are, and this motherfucker's still coming out with stats like this, touchdowns, 200 yards, 10 reception. I mean, it's just, I know this guy's good, but fuck, you can't come up with a game plan to say, hey, we're going to let T. Higgins get 10 catches, 200 yards. We're not going to let Jamar Chase get fucking 2 catches this game. How can you say, hey, I'm going to test the water? This is called an experiment. What if we triple team Jamar Chase and go one-on-one with T. Higgins? Let's see what T. Higgins' stats are in Jamar Chase. Because that's what this game needed to be. These motherfuckers need to triple team this guy and see what the other guy could do. Because even when you're double teaming this guy, this motherfucker's going off for stats like this. This is I know he's that good of a player, but at the same time, can you really just let this shit go? Can you not pick up on this like early in the game when he's just murdering you? Same thing with the Bears with Kittle. You don't pick up on this.
You know what the crazy shit is?
It's called a coaching adjustment.
The crazy shit is Burrow and Chase are number 1 in the league for passing yards, receiving yards, passing touchdowns, all that shit, dude. And this team is still underperformed like this.
Yep.
Because that's all they got.
Well, recently,
I mean, I know they ain't got a running game, but T. Higgins is a solid receiver. He's going to get paid in the offseason.
Over the last few games,
not by the Bengals.
No.
That running backs look good for Cincinnati over the last. He's not putting up like crazy yards, but I mean, he's held down better than any of the guy that they've had in there in Chase Brown.
Yeah.
So, this past week in the picks,
that's the reason why you get the record that you got with the Bengals, because what we just talked about. You barely talked about the running back. No one's talking about their fucking defense. And the only thing you're talking about is Joe Burrow and
Jamar
Chase. Or Jamar. Yeah, Jamar Chase. But if that's all you're doing is playing pitch and catch, you're not going to win NFL games. I mean, you might win a couple because you guys are studs, but you're not going to win NFL games against whole teams. It's not going to happen. So you better go back to the fucking drawing board. And I think that guy is a good coach. I don't know why he hasn't figured it out yet. But better go back to the fucking drawing board or your season's over.
Well, this past week in the picks, D'Lo led. He went 11-2 on the 13 games, while me and Bennett both went 9-4.
I'm telling you, D'Lo is stomping us this year.
Yeah, he is. He really is.
Every week, I don't even know what the record is, but every week you say you and D'Lo tied, or D'Lo just murder both of us. I've always been either in the middle or at the back of the pack. So
rarely
I like to take a risk.
Rarely does he lose the pick'ems. If anything, he ties. But all right, guys, let's get on to this week's games. Now, we already missed the Rams and 49ers, so that'll be marked off from this week. But
coming into this week, though, who would you have taken in that game? I did take the Rams. I do another pick. Yeah, I do another picks thing, and I have the sheet to prove it that I did take the Rams this week, and they pulled it off. So,
but we didn't make the picks, so we're not going to count that. But we're going to start off this week's games. We got the Jets.
Hold on. Dio, I would like to see the receipt on that.
I got you. I'll email it to you.
I know you've been fraudulent in the past with some of your things, some of your shady dealings.
Fraudulent. All right, let's start off
Uh,
with the Jets traveling to the Jaguars. I think the Jets are going to win this game. I'm going to take the Jets. D'Lo, who do you got?
the Jets and the Jaguars. Is that who it is?
Yep.
I'm taking the Jets.
Bennett?
I'm talking about a franchise that's in dismay and a franchise that's in disarray. So I'm going to go with the more talented roster and go with the Jets.
All right.
Yep.
Clean sweep this week for the Jets. We got the Ravens traveling to New York to play the G-Men. I'm going to take the Ravens in this game. D'Lo, who you got?
Yeah. Hell, this should be a clean sweep across the board too.
I don't know.
I'm going with the Ravens.
Let's ask the Swami, the guru, Bennett, who you taking, Ravens or Giants?
Giants turn around. Unbelievable or not, they lose 41-3. No,
All
Ravens win 41-3. 41-3.
I will put that on the side there. He said 41-3. We'll see if that becomes accurate. Next up, we got the Cowboys traveling to Carolina to play the Panthers. And I'm going to take the Panthers in this game. Who you got, D'Lo?
Who's this? The Panthers and who?
Cowboys.
Man,
in Carolina.
I think I'm gonna go with Dallas, man. I mean, it'll be close, but I think I'm gonna go with Dallas.
All right, Bennett, who you got?
I got the same thing as D'Lo. I do like where the Panthers are putting up a fighting chance, but I think Dallas ekes it out. I mean, there's no reason why they shouldn't. The roster's a lot stronger, but I still think they eke it out.
All right. We got the Commanders traveling to New Orleans to play the Saints. I'm going to take the Commanders. Who you got, D'Lo?
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Commanders as well.
Bennett?
Fuck. Yeah, Commanders.
All right. Next up, we got the Cincinnati Bengals traveling to play the team that Bennett said was a great team, the Titans. I'm going to take the Bengals, though. D'Lo, who you taking?
I was talking about remember the Titans.
Who you got,
What
D'Lo?
about Denzel? Denzel's your daddy.
Going with the Bengals.
All right. Bennett, you gonna take the Bengals, or are you gonna go with the team that you think is great in the Titans?
Oh yeah, I picked him in the fucking preseason, didn't I? You piece of shit. No, I'm going with the Bengals, and God, I hope they do because I got Burrow on my fantasy. I'm starting him over Hurts this week. I'm in the quarterfinals, going to the championship game. So
yeah,
I'm going with the Bengals.
Hoping that me and you meet in that finals there. All right. We got the Kansas City Chiefs traveling to Cleveland to play the Browns. Man, I'll tell you what, on paper, you would think that this is simple. The Chiefs would win. But I'm telling you, man, what the way that not Watson, but I can't even remember his name. We just talked about him. Jameis Winston. I'm serious, and I know you're gonna laugh at it. I'm taking the Browns in an upset this week. D'Lo, who you got?
Who are they playing? The Browns and who?
The Chiefs.
Yeah, no, I'm taking the Chiefs.
All right. Bennett?
I think it's a tough game, and at the end of the game, the ball gets tipped from Jameis Winston's pass, bounces off a couple helmets, and the Chiefs intercept it, and they hold on to the win.
All right. I just think that the way that he's played over the last few games, and the way that the Chiefs team has played as a team, I could see upset written all over this. Next up,
for sure.
Next up, we got the Dolphins traveling to Houston to play the Texans. I'm going to take the Texans. D'Lo, who you got?
I'm taking the Texans as well. But I'm not confident in that either, man. The Texans have struggled this year, man.
Yeah. Bennett?
Who's at home?
Texans.
Yeah, I'll take Texas. I got a Dolphins fan in my living room right now.
Ah,
got a chance.
I'm wondering if D'Lo or Bennett is going to switch up from any picks because they have taken the same team so far throughout.
We agreed on this before the podcast.
Next, we got the Indianapolis Colts traveling to play the Broncos. And I'm telling you, the way that the Broncos are playing, man, I'm taking the Broncos. D'Lo, who you got?
Yeah, I'm taking the Broncos.
Bennett?
Yeah, I think the Broncos are a better team anyway, but it's hard to go against Indy and Indy. That's the Loud House.
All right, next up, we got the Patriots traveling to Arizona to play the Cardinals. I'm taking the Cardinals in this. D'Lo, who you got?
Who's traveling to Arizona?
The Patriots.
Yeah, I'm taking the Cardinals.
Bennett?
Here's my upset of the week. I'm taking the Patriots.
Wow. All right. Next up, we get this is the game of the week to me. This is going to be, and I'm loving it because I got this guy as my fantasy quarterback. So I'm really hoping that they just light each other up. We got the Bills traveling to Detroit to play the Lions. And I want it to be a barn burner, but I'm still taking the Lions. D'Lo, who you got?
I'm going with the Lions as well.
Bennett?
Ain't no way I'm picking fucking Lions. Let's go Buffalo.
All right. Next up, we got the Buccaneers traveling to LA to play the Chargers. Man,
Ooh,
I'm going to take the Chargers. Who you got, D'Lo?
I'm going with the Chargers as well.
Bennett?
give me Harbaugh and them Chargers, baby.
All right. We got the Pittsburgh Steelers traveling for that classic game of Pennsylvania to play the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm taking the Eagles. Who you got, D'Lo?
I'm going with the Eagles.
Bennett?
Damn, this is another tough game, fellas. Where are they playing?
Philly.
So Pittsburgh got home field advantage because they hate their coach.
No, they hate Santa Claus in Philly, and it's right around
They
that
hate Santa
time.
Claus. They hate the fucking the coach there in Philly. What's his name? Sarah.
You know who they
Sirianni?
love? You know who they love in Philly? They love Vince Papali. That's who they love.
They do. Eagles have been my pick all year. I'm gonna stick with them. Let's go Eagles.
All right. Next up,
I do think it'd be a tight game.
we got the Packers traveling to Seattle to play the Seahawks. I'm taking the Seahawks in this game. Who you got, D'Lo?
I'm gonna go with the Packers.
All right. Bennett?
I'm going with Seahawks. They won the game above.
All right. Next up, we got, and this is there's 2 Monday night games this week, and one of them, the Bears travel to Minnesota to play the Vikings on Monday Night Football. Man, I'm going to take the Vikings. Who you got, D'Lo?
Yeah, I'm going with the Vikings.
Bennett?
God damn it. God damn it. First off, before we even get to this pick, who the fuck put this game on Monday Night Football?
I don't know why
I
they
thought
didn't
there were-
fucking.
I thought
didn't
this was
know why
a
they-
flex fucking schedule.
Yeah, that's for Sunday
Yeah.
night games, bud.
God damn it.
thought they
This
had
is
flex.
bullshit. So now I got to watch my fucking team get fucking totally embarrassed on Monday night.
Well, you don't have to. You could also watch the other Monday night game between the Falcons and the Raiders.
No, because if I do that, I won't be able to critique how bad the Bears fucking did.
So are you taking the Bears or are you taking the Vikings?
Fuck you, Phil. You know who the fuck I'm taking.
He's taking the Bears.
Let's go, Bears.
All right. And in the final game, we got Atlanta traveling to Las Vegas to play the Raiders. And, man, I'm going to pick the Raiders to pull an upset here.
Oh, man, you're going with it, huh?
Yeah. Now, you seen how bad the Falcons have played over the last few weeks.
No, I have. You're right. Absolutely.
So who you taking, D'Lo?
I'm going with the Falcons. I can't bring myself to pick the Raiders. The Raiders are probably one of the worst teams in the league right now. So
Bennett, who you taking?
I'm with you, Phil. Brock Bowers gonna light these motherfuckers up. I like O'Connell. He's from Purdue. Fucking Kirk Cousins and his fucking shitty ass play over the last couple of weeks. Unless they start Penix, I'm not changing my pick. I'm going with the fucking Raiders too.
All right, boys. That's
I'll be seeing you losers from the winning lane. You know what I'm saying?
As you usually
As
are.
you have all year, sir.
Yep. All right. Well, I appreciate everybody that tuned in. I appreciate we've been getting more subscriptions, more subs on YouTube. I do appreciate that. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe this video. We appreciate you sticking through. It's an hour-and-a-half video, but we love talking sports.
Phil's a piece of shit and had to get sick this week. I had to go have injections in my back and neck and shit, and then it had to work as usual. So we didn't get as much done as we usually do. We need to do a Tales from the Turnbuckle. We need to do a Jet Up, Bear Down. So we're a little behind right now, but we promise we'll get caught up, man. Tonight, WWE has Saturday night main event. There's a UFC event on. So, so if you guys are free here in a little bit, and you guys are wanting to watch those events, we can do a watch along for those or whatever you want to do, man. So
yeah. All right. Anything you want to add, Bennett, before we let these people go?
Peace, love, and chicken grease.
All right.
Yep.
That has been the Worst Case Scenario podcast. We appreciate it.